I don't think any of us knew how quickly we could grow the business. We really have seen sales increases of 15-20% in 6 months. That to us is just mind-blowing, and it's because of AI.
Let's be real, building a business is hard, and it's made harder by all the noise out there. In this new video series, we're demystifying what it takes to actually build a business. We'll be hearing from mentors and founders in our community to hear what gets real results, what doesn't work, and everything in between. Let's dive in.
Cath, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
So I'm Cath. I run a company called CDS Printer Solutions, and we are a printer repair and sales company based in Staffordshire, and we repair office printers. It's a fairly niche market, but yeah, that's what we do.
We met you at an AI workshop that we did in collaboration with BT up in Stoke.
You did?
And I know that we learned a lot about how you were using AI, but before we get to that, I'd love to rewind the clock a little bit. And AI is quite a new tool. So I'd love to know, like, what kind of first got you interested in, learning about AI and how you could use it for your business?
It was a bit of a bombshell, really. I'm talking like January, February this year. It actually comes back to I had a mentor session with a lady about business growth, and she just said, "How are you using AI?" And I thought, we're not, I was a bit shocked and thought, we're not using it. And she just said, you need to be using AI. You need to get yourself up to speed with what's going on, because it could be a really useful tool for you, especially in a small business. Because I was sort of explaining to her that we needed help with marketing and sales and various other things. And she was almost puzzled that I wasn't using it. So very quickly, I made sure that I became aware of it and started attending your workshops and, just reading up about it and trying to get myself aware of how it could be used in our business.
AI is so new to so many people, and it's really intimidating, I think, when you start with it. And did you when you were going into it, did you feel any of that intimidation, and were there ways to overcome it?
Yeah, massively. It's it's a huge sort of technical leap for us. We're an old-fashioned repair company. A lot of people come to our premises and look at us and think, oh wow, it's engineers fixing printers. So it's quite an old-fashioned business in that respect. But now that we've started looking at AI, we know that we can use it in so many ways to help us not be intimidated by what we need to do. I struggle with writing social media posts and blog posts and things like that, because I'm not from that sort of background. We don't have an employee that does that. Really quickly, I've become fairly confident with it, because it feels intuitive to me now. To whenever I think I need to do something and I'm not sure how to start, that's what it's given me, is like a sort of jumping off point to get started with a project. Whereas before, I'd think, right, we need to do some more social media or more blog posts, and I'd just sit there a bit frozen, really wondering how to get started. You'd start looking at external companies and realise that we didn't have the resources for that at that point. So yeah, we were, quite intimidated by it, but we've quickly found our feet and, sort of running with it. So
just ran with it, yeah. And with that mindset change, I say mindset change, was there like a kind of that shift you talked about where you went from kind of like intimidation to kind of excitement?
Oh, yeah, that's been the biggest thing for me, is the excitement in the business. It's given us a real boost as a business. I felt like we were, plodding along, not really growing, so we were standing still. And I think it's been just the boost that we need to realise there's so much more we can do with our, it's just a little small business. It's 5 people, but I don't think any of us knew how quickly we could grow the business. And we really have seen, even just sales increases of 15-20% in 6 months. That to us is just mind-blowing. We all sit there in our business planning meetings, and I think we didn't expect to be where we are, and it's because of AI. And it's really made a big difference to us.
Yeah. And I feel like that type of growth in that short amount of time is genuinely like life-changing for a small business. Like, those numbers are just huge. So And we can get into it a little bit more maybe in a second, but when we were talking at the start about how nearly every part of your business is now touched by AI, can you talk a little bit about how what you've implemented with the AI has impacted that growth?
Yeah, I mean, the number one for us is social media. We didn't have any social media before then. We weren't even using LinkedIn 6 months ago. So I've found a real enthusiasm for creating those posts. The networking aspect of that has been massive. We've met so many other small businesses who are in the same boat as us, just through promoting ourselves. And, I would say that's one of the biggest improvements in our business, is that we are now much louder on social media than we were 6 months ago, in terms of LinkedIn and Facebook posts and Instagram posts, and just generally getting the message about our company out there. And we're really seeing that's where people are finding us. People still like to phone us. That we're in a traditional business in that respect, that, the website's all about the phone number, but when they do ring us, they say, oh, we saw you post on LinkedIn, or we saw you on Instagram, which I was amazed that our business would be an Instagram type business. I didn't think that would be our sort of marketplace, but definitely. So I'd say social media has been the biggest, the biggest jump for us.
Okay, let's talk about AI tools. What AI tools are your favorite? What's working? What doesn't?
So obviously using generative AI is what I'm focusing on at the moment, because it's the wordy stuff that I need. It's the help writing proposals and emails. And so I started, like many people do, with ChatGPT. I've tried other tools, like I've been using Perplexity more recently. Still switching between both. I'm finding, ChatGPT for me works, and I think that's the important thing. If it works for you and it gives you what you want, don't force yourself to use something that's maybe not right for your business or right for you. So yeah, I do use that. I use some of the Canva tools for making social media posts. But it's a fairly basic introduction to AI, and I think it's, for us, the basics are working at the moment. Hear a lot about other tools and how other people use things. But for us, that's what's working at the moment.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And sometimes simple is better, isn't it?
Yeah. I do. I sort of think, God, I should be doing more, and I should be, but we're taking small, relatively small steps into it, seeing the differences, seeing the benefits of it, and that's where we are at the moment. So.
Yeah, and just from, like you say, those small steps, you've seen absolutely
massive jumps,
growth. Yeah, so you can only imagine kind of what the future holds.
Yeah,
which I know we were talking about before we went live, but thinking ahead, is there anything that you're kind of looking to tackle next with generative AI?
Our next step is employing more people. We've looked at the ways that the business processes have changed since we're using generative AI. And I know people talk about, it's taking jobs away from other people, but for us, it's the opposite. It's streamlining our business to enable us to take on, we're looking for 2 new engineers, because we've got so busy by advertising ourselves, talking about ourselves, spreading the word. That's meant that we actually are going to, looking at taking on 2 new full-time employees, which, really, I don't think 3 months ago, 6 months ago, we weren't thinking about doing that in any way. We were just plodding along thinking, right, okay, we're doing this, we're doing that. So that's been a huge change for us as well, that we've actually thought we're growing a business.
Final question. If a founder is sat in the audience and they are thinking about dipping their toe into the world of AI, what 2 pieces of advice would you give them?
I would say, just have a go. Think of a repetitive task that you often do or that you often struggle with. Pop it into a generative AI tool and see what it comes back with. As a small business owner, you don't have a colleague sat across from you to ask those questions. So ask a generative AI tool, ask ChatGPT or Perplexity to help you. So that would be, just have a go on something small. And the other thing would be to write an effective prompt. You can't just say, write me an email. You've got to give the tool something to work with. So write, effective prompt, tell it what you want, why you want it, what tone you want it in, give it some context, because you're not going to get a brilliant answer if you don't put decent information in.
Thank you so much to today's guests for sharing their insights on how to grow a business. To access free business support and one-to-one mentoring, visit the link on screen.